It is late at night, and we are off the grid. And while both of those things are true, continue to be true, I cannot vouch for the rest of the world. Everybody else is on their own, but we are off the grid here, and we're going to talk about things that I don't know that give us energy today. And we'll start with what power we have in the house, and we, the royal we, sort of my fault, lost track of it. I lost track of the energy consumption we were using in the energy storage we had, and we almost ran out of power this morning. We had, by my rudimentary mathematics, we probably had 10 to 20 minutes worth of power. I knew we were going to make it. I knew based on the sunshine that we had. This is what the day looked like, by the way. Here, I'll roll this with cows. The cows were happy. It was a little chilly out this morning, but the cows were happy. But you can see in the background here, well, this is sort of the cow pasture, one of two cow pastures that we have, or three, really, depending on how you slice it and dice it. But you can see in the background is our house and the solar shed and the blue skies, most importantly for today. And so I knew we were going to be producing power, which was helpful to know, but we legitimately almost ran out of power. And by almost ran out of power, let's take a look in from this morning what our live power situation was early. I'm going to pause this for a second because there's a couple things to take note of here. And I'm actually going to say, suffice to, if the power goes out, it's because we've switched to the car, did not also do a good job of charging the car. And in order for the car to power our house, it needs to be above 20% battery power in the car. And we are above 20%, but we're not much above 20%. And so while we're not incredibly low on power right now, we might be rolling into a day or two where we might see snow tomorrow, which is right on par, right on brand for New England this time of year. And we don't know kind of what the next day or two will hold weather-wise or sunshine-wise, sun exposure-wise. So we figure we're going to play it safe and switch to the car tonight. But this morning, as you can see here from the Tesla app that I'm showing, at 8:46, that's at 8:46 this morning, we were just starting to bring in power. And I'll show you kind of what that looked like. But the bottom line here is we had 6% battery. So we were at 8:46, we were at 6% battery. We were using 0.5 kilowatts. We were producing 0.7. So it was nice. So we did have the luxury of having that sunshine, early in the day so that we could start making the early power. But we definitely were cutting it close. So 6%, we had generated 0.3 early on. Again, this was the very beginning of the day. And my wife had a couple of, she had some work to do. And so she's got a separate studio and she's got heat and she sees clients. And so we need to make sure that she's got the power and everything that she needs to run that studio. And at 6%, it just doesn't give you that luxury. I just want to back that up for a second. I wish I showed it to you too when our heat kicked on, because at one point we were producing no power because it was just too early. Again, at 8:30, at about 8, we'll start producing power this time of year about 8:30. But at 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, we're not going to be producing anything. So to be at 6% and start to be using a kilowatt, 2 kilowatts, 2.5 kilowatts, her mini split will kick on in her studio, and that will start to heat up early in the morning. And so if we get to 5%, our whole system's going to shut down. And that's kind of catastrophe. That's sort of red alert. We really like to avoid the entire system shutting down because then we have to jumpstart it. And jumpstarting the gateway and the power walls, and the entire Tesla system, it's not ideal. It can be done. We've done it, but it's not ideal. So here we were at 6%. And so, again, my math is terrible. Combination of that's number one. It's late at night, so I'm not going to math good anyway right now. But let's just say we have a 40 kilowatt system. That's got to be roughly, let's say, a half a kilowatt is a percent, give or take. If it was a 50 kilowatt system, half a kilowatt would be a percent. So it's just an easy number to work with. So we had about less than half a kilowatt. So here we are. If we were not making power and using half a kilowatt or a kilowatt, we would have a half an hour or an hour. So I digress. Needless to say, this is like emergency mode. The app should be flashing red at this point, and it should be sending me some kind of a notification that I should be on high alert. It doesn't really do that. I will get an app notification that says, hey, at 16%, I'll get an app notification that says, "Hey, you test the power walls really, really, really low," and I try to make sure that I see that. And here you could see what we discharged and what we charged up. Again, this was really early in the morning, so we're not expecting to make a lot of power at this point. But I also shouldn't have left it. And here was the problem. The problem was last night when I switched over to the car. Let's see. I think I have a little synopsis of this, or I should have. Maybe I did it in the one today. Here we are today. Let me fast forward to right now. I just took this snapshot of our power from the Tesla app. As you can see, this is at 10:39, 10:40. So this was like 45 minutes ago or so. And we're not producing anything. It also says we're not using anything, which is not accurate. We are using power, but we are switched on to the car right now. And I will say that the car has been a little finicky, and we've had a power surge that's knocked out the car once tonight. And so one of the great remedies to that took me too long to figure out is that if you just unlock the car, if it power surge happens and the vehicle to load isn't responding well and it kind of shuts down to protect its kind of electrical infrastructure, I suppose, you can actually just unlock it with the key fob and the power kicks back on, which is handy because I had gone out many times in the snow until I realized that I could just sit by the fireplace and hit the button. So that was good. But last night I didn't switch over early enough. So at 9 o'clock or so, it would have been a good time to switch over, preserve some power. We had maybe 30%, maybe a little bit less than that. We had about 30% of power, 25% of power. And that would have been a good time to switch over, but I didn't. And so instead, I let it drain all the way down to 6% from this morning. But we made it. So here's what we ended up using today, 20.4. You can see at the very left, there's like a couple, you see the sort of the heartbeat, the heartbeat lines, the green and the yellow. They just indicate what was provided from solar panels, what was provided from our power walls, and our overall house energy usage. So that's all this graph is showing, and it's breaking it all up into nice visuals. And at 20.4 kilowatts, at the very beginning of the day, you can see we just have a sort of a very limited little heartbeat there of power. And that's just the electric fence for all the animals, for all the cows. Going back to these guys. These guys are all behind an electric fence. Probably got like a mile and a half of electric fence. I actually haven't added it up. But that's what these blips early in the day are going to. So 20.4, see how that stacks up to some other days. Yesterday, I think we were a little bit higher than that. 25.6, the day before 24, 22. Thanksgiving, we were at 24.5. So that just gives you the last few days of our power usage being off the grid. And we were great. It was a super great day yesterday. And so we ended up depleting our power, and I just didn't switch over in time. And so honestly, it gets to the season, the summer, we have such an abundance of power in the summer. We charge our car in the summer. We run a hot tub in the summer. We have more power than we kind of know what to do with. I mean, we definitely we have some battery storage. We have electric bikes. We charge some things up, but we don't have that luxury in the winter. The winter is an entirely different scenario. And so, but this shows you we generated 40.8 kilowatts today. That's a lot of power for this time of year. And what it shows you is two things. A, we could generate decent amount of power in the fall. And as we start to roll in, we're a few weeks away from the shortest day of the year up here in New England. So to make 40.8 kilowatts is pretty great. But what it really shows you too is when we get back to the overall power analysis here and how it all breaks down is that, so we're still tonight, over only at 56%, even less than that right now, because that was 45 minutes ago. So 55% right now. But what it shows you that is even on a beautiful day, super sunny, we charged up, we put in over 40 kilowatts of power. We didn't even charge our entire battery system up, which is just something to note. And it's something of why we switched over to the car tonight. And when I switched over to the car, I'll show you sort of what that looks like, because we're at 30% in the car. So you need to be above 20%. You can see there's a little, maybe you can't see it, but there's a little white line where the blue gauge has filled up the battery indicator there. There's a little white line at 20%, and it's telling you without telling you that the vehicle to load won't turn on if you're below 20%. So at 30%, we're fine. But I don't know if it starts to get more picky when it drops. Now it's at 29 or 28%. But that's powering the house. And in the lower right-hand corner, you can actually see 0.5 kilowatts. You can see what the vehicle to load is putting out through to our manual transfer switch, through to our sub panel, and through to our house. And that's powering our house right now. Right now, 0.5 kilowatts is enough power for our refrigerator to be on and keeping our food cool, for our fireplace to be on and heating our 2,400 square foot house and our family, for my computer to be charging, it's on and charging, and all the ancillary components hooked up for the internet to be on. So all this stuff is on right now, and it's only using 0.5 kilowatts. So I think that's pretty efficient or reasonable or an affordable use of power. So that's what's happening with the car. And again, what's nice is if there is a surge in power, because this vehicle, because it's vehicle to load, it's not vehicle to home. So it has there's a finite amount, I guess there's a finite amount of power that you could draw on any of these vehicles, but particularly on the Hyundais, the Kias, there's a finite amount of more minimal power that you could pull out of that. So we're looking at about 1.9 kilowatts total at a time. So right now we're drawing 0.5. So we're really only at 25% of that, maybe 20% of that, something like that. But we could amp that up, but any high performance appliance is going to sort of trigger us to have a negative response from the vehicle. The vehicle's going to shut down, and it's going to require me, like I said, now that I know I could just hit the unlock button, makes it a lot easier. But it's still kind of a pain, and I wish we had a little bit more. When in Europe, the car is able to produce, I think, 4 or 5 kilowatts of power, which really then becomes enough to run some of the higher energy appliances like a mini split system, an HVAC system, or a well. If you don't have a variable speed well and you need that power to start the pump, something with a little bit more power would be ideal. But right now, c'est la vie. Our car is powering our entire house. It is powering this conversation right now. And here we go. So that's sort of our power check. I didn't even I have a banner on. I had the power check banner. Oh, and there's comments now. So last time there was some comments. Let's say hi, everyone. I'm going to try to be better about the comment section, although I'm a slow typer and a slow reader. And there's other things. There's it goes on from there. But that completes the power check. Our power did not go out today. I felt really grateful for that. And we're very close to our entire power system going out again, which is not ideal. I could do another video on that another time. Hopefully not a demonstration, more of just a historical artifact on what we've had to deal with. But it just shows you in the wintertime, we have a different set of circumstances that we got to deal with. And that's okay. Once you learn how to adjust to that, it's kind of part of the fun. Once you learn how to adjust to that, it's kind of what it looks like. It looks like Huckleberry snoozing on the cozy blanket because he had a long day. But the made me look today, I just think it's fascinating that I start to see in my Flipboard here is that a lot of not just solar related articles or battery related articles, but how it relates to the wintertime. So that first one was Off-Gridder shares footage of simple solution to wintertime problem. It's just cleaning the panels off, and we have that problem as well. Fortunately, the panels, because they're glass or silica or the material that they're made of, the metal, does absorb a lot of heat, which is nice because once you clear that first, we have a very similar setup to this actually, where we have 3 rows of 12 panels. Once I go through and clear that first row of panels, and that's more or less at the ground height. We've got a pretty substantial, pretty aggressive pitch on our shed to catch the maximum amount of light, especially this time of year when the arc is a little bit lower in the sky. And if I clear that first set of panels, I've got to get out of the way quick because the snow will fall on me. But when I was reading this headline, it was Off-Gridder shares footage of simple solution to wintertime problem. He just used a really long, scraper, squeegee thing. But it was 30 feet long. It was pretty nifty. But if your panels are closer to the ground, you can definitely just clear the first row of panels. And then you're going to be all right. And then off-grid tiny house embraces downsizing, doesn't skimp on comfort. This house was wicked cool. I want to show this another time. That was a wicked cool house. Really nice interior. Are solar panels impacted by the cold? Yes. Yep, they are. Solar panels are, but you know what's even more impacted by the cold? Batteries. Perovskite. Perovskite's a super cool material. I want to get into that at some point. And solar energy protects German vineyards from climate change. I'm happy with German vineyards. You had me at German vineyards at that one. This was the article I want to talk about, though. The last free place in America is a town built completely off the grid. I think this is kind of wild. So this is called Slab City. Slab City, California, situated in the desert. I mean, what great, unique, crazy, off-grid, free city is not located in California in the desert? I ask you that. Near the Salton Sea, I have not heard of that. It is renowned for its unique status as a community that operates outside the conventional structures of government, utilities, and traditional laws. So it seems very Burning Man-like, except all year round, and actually functions in some way as a community. It's pretty unusual. It's even earned the title the last free place among some of its residents and visitors. Well, I mean, any residents and visitors of any place can name anything. So I don't know if like the last free place, like, is it just free to go live there? What's free about it? I guess there's no rules that apply. Anyway, what does it really mean to? Oh, I guess here I just got to keep reading. Jonathan. What does it really mean to be free in a place like Slab City, and how has it come to exist in such an isolated and conventional way? I think just because people want to be. It's kind of cool, very colorful. I think that's pretty interesting. I think people just want to be out there. I think people want to be disconnected or connected in a way that is not artificial. And maybe this is the answer to that. Slab City is located on the site of a former Camp Dunlap, a U.S. Marine Corps base used during World War II. I could see this being a movie. I could see this being a comedy movie or a horror movie. It's just really could go either way, and it could be both. It could be a rom-com horror comedy. During World War II, after the camp was dismantled in the 1950s, it wasn't long before squatters began to occupy the area by using the leftover concrete slabs. Who leaves concrete slabs? What is a leftover concrete slab? Is it just like building materials and they made the slabs, or were these just slabs lying around? And then like a whole bunch of people got underneath the slabs and lifted them up and built Slab City. I should have probably done more recon on Slab City. I wonder how hard it is to get there. So let's see. So the biggest draw of Slab City is its complete lack of organized modern infrastructure. So it's different than what we're living in now. How? There's no running water. Electricity. So I see. I got it. Off-grid farm has a huge advantage over this. We have running water. We have electricity. We have a sewage system, or at least a septic system, and we have trash collection, and we have composting. We have. I feel very amenitized here. Is amenitized a word? If it is, that's how I feel here on the off-grid farm at this point, based on Slab City here. Essentially, the basic services most of us take for granted don't exist here. Yeah, because you squatted in a military camp in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. That's why the services don't exist there. However, for many residents, this is a feature, not a flaw. The absence of these utilities allows people to live on their own terms, outside the constraints of traditional society. Well, I think they're living on terms. It might not be their own terms, but I think they are living on terms. Maybe nature's terms or other people's terms, but maybe not society. Classical. Some residents generate their own electricity. Some residents do. What do the other residents do? Do they just live with no electricity? And then, like, would you have a neighbor? You have one neighbor with electricity and then one neighbor without. I think I'm asking more questions that probably need to be asked here. Wind turbines, like, where are they bringing this stuff in from? While others rely on makeshift solutions for water and waste management. A makeshift solution for water and waste management. I think we all know what that's just going behind the bushes or a tree or digging a hole. I think that's a makeshift solution. diverse community. It's interesting. I don't know. I just thought this was interesting. This made me look. This did make me look. This was what a stock photo of Slab City, the contradictions of freedom. While many embrace the idea of Slab City as a place of total freedom, the reality is more complicated. You don't say. Huh. Community is largely self-regulated. This place is just out there. It's cool though. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. I would like to see if they had some more cohesive strategy in terms of dealing with, and that's my whole thing here, is we've got such an opportunity, especially with power. It's one of the things I realized living off the grid here and living a very modern, contemporary lifestyle with my entire family in a community, is that it doesn't have to be this isolated encampment or just kind of desolate place that you are removed to or confine yourself to. You could very much integrate in many, many, many ways with how society functions. And I think in a lot of ways, like having bidirectional charging, having vehicle to load, vehicle to home, I think you can actually make improvements. I think democratizing power, having power in the hands of people like me, where I can go and charge a vehicle and bring it back here and use it as I please, is a positive thing, a net positive for communities in general. And that doesn't even start to address microgridding and those sorts of things that I think really could bring up the standard, the reliability, and the quality of certainly the electrical infrastructure, but that is a trickle-down effect to all kinds of other benefits to communities that communities have. So that was the made me look. I just thought that was a neat, that and seeing all the articles start to pop up of, do solar panels perform well in the winter? Do batteries perform well in the winter? And there is a loss. There is a loss both in our vehicle. We noticed it in our Hyundai, our electric vehicle, about maybe like a 20% loss, 15 to 20% loss in battery storage, and in our Tesla Powerwalls. So it's not necessarily relegated to one panel or one manufacturer. I think the hardware in general, the lithium ion hardware, the silicone panels, I think the general temperature fluctuations aren't always the best for it, and particularly in the cold weather, you lose the efficiency. So that's all I have to say to that. So now we have. Oh, see, that was food for thought. See, I got them confused. That was the food for thought. It could be the made me look, although it could be either one. So we're gonna go food for thought. I'm gonna go back to Ari at Home and Ari at Home wandering the streets of New York, playing some awesome music. I'm gonna play a little 2-minute clip from him, and he absolutely crushed it and made me happy. And it brought some light into my night tonight, and it brought a little energy and a little power. I got a little work to finish up, so it's almost midnight here, and we're going to turn the chapter into a new day where I got deadlines coming up, and I'm not close to me. No, I'm close. I'm getting closer, but this is fun. I'd rather take the time and do this. Without further ado.
What are you trying to do?
Let's take him to church.
Take him to church? Are you going to sing?
We're going to get melodic with it.
Melodic with it? Cool, man. Come hold this.
And
What do you mean by
is,
take to church? Just put an organ in it, or what do you mean?
Yeah, let's put some organs in it.
This is Ari at Home in Silo 7, spelled it all out, and then 77.
Let's get spiritual. Doom, 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 doom. Dark sense in there.
Like that? Is that what you were singing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm loving that. All these clouds can't keep me down, I'm golden. Road to storm, I find my moment. 19, mama keep me.
And I think he walks around because then he doesn't have to have a busking permit or something like that. But I think it's pretty neat that he walks around and attracts.
Get a house, yeah. Devil on my shoulder, kick off all the doubts, yeah. I'm golden. Looking in the mirror, it's the only opponent. Tell them this can never ever die. Tell them that we'll take it to the sky. RP to the ones we lost. I know you're looking down with a smile. Clouds don't keep me down. I'm golden. Never felt so lonely. I found my moment flowing. Clouds don't keep me down. I'm golden. I'm golden. These clouds don't keep me down. Mama, I'm golden. I'm golden. You ever feel down, get the devil down here. You look around, tell me what you see now here. Heartbreak and the aches and the pain. Knees weak, I can feel it.
And it's cold out, man. He's got gloves on. They got their beanie on, the hats on. It just makes me happy. It's just a great sound. Thanks to Ari at Home. Thanks for putting on such a great production. Thanks to Huckleberry for snoozing away. Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thanks to the sunshine today for not making us completely run out of power. And, thanks in general to being able to, sit here and talk to you. Everything's working, and I'm grateful for that. So grateful for all of you. I hope you all take a minute to appreciate yourselves. We made it through today, and we're going to make it through another day. That being said, hope you got enough power inside and out. I will catch you soon, maybe tomorrow night, hopefully, but definitely soon. And until then, later.